Test, test, test. And now we begin. There's a couple things I can add. So what am I doing right now? I'm going over and making corrections on that Kickstarter thing, dude. That. All right, let me go back and all right. Andrew, born to extravagant wealth, power, and privilege, Andrew has known nothing in his life but luxury. Even with the end of days upon them, Andrew hides away from the ruined world in the safety of his family estate, protected by government agents. His mother, Senator Gervais, has arranged the family to survive hidden, protected, sheltered from the outside world, unknowing and uncaring for the suffering of others. Over the past year, Andrew's hunger for answers grew, but was continuously dismissed the truth from his parents. Following his radio conversation with a strange yet attractive sounding woman, he takes the risk to leave the comforts and protection of home, hoping that he can prove himself a man by rescuing her from the struggles brought forth from the collapse. What he discovers will force him to leave his childhood behind as he adapts to a new, ruined world. I don't know why this isn't working. Hold on. Robert, what's up, my man? We're just kind of doing a chill session here. I figure I'd chit chat with you guys while I make the alterations to my Kickstarter campaign. So I just wanted to see what you guys had going on. If you guys wanted to ask me anything, I'm an open book, quite literally. I'm willing to talk about anything and everything with y'all. So, I'm trying to hook up this keyboard to this phone so it's a little bit easier. But for some reason it's not working. How did the presentation go? What presentation? What do you mean? Alright, so apparently it's connected now. What do you mean the presentation? I'm a little lost. I haven't done any presentation. The Kickstarter campaign, presenting that to the world, is that what you mean? That hasn't been done yet. It's still waiting on review. I should find out in the next couple days. What's today, Monday? Yeah, I should find out by the 10th. Oof, it's a while off. Yeah, once I get the okay from good old Kickstarter, I will most likely launch it, and then we will see. And how good the presentation goes is predicated on the fact, does it make money or not? Signed up for Roadie this week. Roadie, I think, is a very interesting platform. It's good if you're already the fundraiser. Yeah, the fundraiser. We're not going to know until it's live. It's not live yet. But Roadie, I think, is a wonderful app. There are some regular jobs, usually airport jobs. Basically, you'll go pick up someone's luggage at an airport and go drop it off for them. That's one of the bigger things that's more local, but you can't bank on those all the time. The other one would be the cool thing about roadie is it's beneficial if you're already driving a long distance. So if you have the means to take other stuff with you, by all means, yeah, it's great. I wouldn't plan on using roadie to make money full time though, because after everything is accounted for, um, you're spending a lot of time not earning a whole lot of money because you have to account for your gas, you have to account for the distance it's going to take from there here to there, you know, and also if you have space, you know, roadie I think was designed. It's like, hey, I'm moving from this part of the country to that part of the country. Let me see if anyone needs me to take stuff that's on that way, and I can utilize those funds to kind of compensate me for my trip on my own side. Like it's kind of like that. People on roadie, I've seen some people trying to ship crazy stuff. Like I've seen people try to ship a couch, and they'll offer like $800 to ship this couch, and it's like, but it's on the other side of the country, and it's like, you just buy a new couch. Like, why would you spend that much money for this couch unless, you know, unless it's like, I don't know, some antique or family heirloom type deal. But you know, so hit me up with them questions. What do you guys got for me? Oh, as far as roadie, I would say roadie's a good side thing. I wouldn't do it full time. It's like I said before, you want to have your hand everywhere. You want to have your hand in every pocket. You don't want to stick to just one thing. It's like I might be just on TaskRabbit, but I'm signed up with other platforms. So if things get slow on one, you can always move over to another. I've just been fortunate enough to, you know, be relatively good with TaskRabbit. The only thing I no longer do is food delivery. It's not worth it, not in the slightest. You do not get paid remotely enough for your time, for your gas, for your energy. No, it's not worth it. Food delivery. All right, this is what I need to change. And this is like hard too because I don't really know what to change it to. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Just breathe. It's like no matter like how organized I try to keep things, I just have crap everywhere all the time. All right, so. I'm sorry. I'm like, what? Alright. Or you got laid the first time on it for sentimental reasons. You talking about TaskRabbit? No. Nothing like that. Alright. Well, see, in that situation, it kind of makes sense because you're already out on the road. You're already driving around. That does make sense for that particular scenario. But for someone like me, I don't do that stuff to begin with. So, and the hard part is back, especially when I did it when I had the truck. What a waste of gas. And then when I had the Durango, there was no way I was even going to attempt it because the Durango ate up more gas than the damn Ford. All right. I think Whoa. I don't know. It wasn't me. It was someone offered it as a job, as a a thing on Roadie. I have a Prius. Hopefully, gas won't be an issue. So one of the big things with Roadie is it comes up to the size of an item. Usually, the larger an item is, the more you'll get paid. So for having a Prius, you're probably not going to qualify to deliver a lot of things that would be more beneficial. Yeah. We can get rid of that. What are things in shelter are different? Let's try this one. Is this one all cut up? Priuses are dope, man. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of them. I love the technology behind them, though. I think hybrid cars are amazing. Electric cars, too. I'm a big fan of, developing technologies and all that. Our government refused to convert from USD to cryptocurrency, resulting in the dollar losing its value on a global scale. Okay, so let's put those aside. So basically, I have two people that have already donated, not to the actual Kickstarter campaign. I would have rather of them donated to the Kickstarter campaign, but they donated here, which is nice and thankful, but it doesn't make the numbers on Kickstarter go up. So hopefully people will wait. If they do want a copy of the book, I'll make sure that anyone that wants a copy will get one, but shit, that's right. That's another thing I gotta do. I gotta put links on here to I don't think I should put the prologue out though. Well, when I was looking on Roadie, most jobs, you're going to be going more than 100 miles away. So, like, for example, I'm out here in Las Vegas, right? Most jobs that were in Las Vegas, none of them were local. It would be I would pick up an item and drive it at least 100 miles away. You're not compensated for anything, no return trips. It's just from here to there. Because, like I said, that's how the app is designed. The app is designed for people that are already headed that direction anyway. So if you get something, let's say if I got something in Las Vegas, right? And someone wanted, I don't know, let's say it was a company and like they needed something like shipped over immediately and they wanted personal care with it and they didn't want to go through like FedEx or UPS and they didn't mind spending the extra money. Let's say they would give me $200, right? To get it from here, or $150, something like that, to take that box from here in Las Vegas all the way to LA. That's great from here to LA, but I'm not compensated for a return trip. So like in a Prius, that's cool, that's fine, but then that would be a 5-hour one-way trip. That's 10 hours. That's basically a full day. And I've done that job on TaskRabbit before. Not for that little bit of money, though. It was $500 for a trip that I did from here to there. And the big part of that was gas. It had, I got paid my hourly for the trip, but I also made them pay for gas. That was the big part, was gas, gas, gas. I mean, it is something to have on the side, but if you think that you're going to get a lot of local jobs, there are some. I don't want to say that there isn't, but there's not a crazy amount. It's not the kind of thing that you could do full time. I mean, if you got lucky enough, yeah, sure. If the right jobs came in, and it's off of a bidding system. So basically the lowest number wins. So you'll have multiple people reach out to the client, and the client will basically choose whoever's the lowest. They'll put out their budget, and other people will be like, hey, I'll do it for 200. Oh, I'll do it for 150. Oh, I'll do it for 120. Kind of thing. That's for larger stuff, I guess. I think the airport ones pay maybe $20, so after they take their cut, you get like $15. But those are typically local, if you live close to an airport. So I was doing an IKEA job one day, and this lady reached out to me under the delivery category, which at the time delivery was it was listed at $18 an hour take home for me. And she explained the job that she needed done, and I got her on the phone, and I was like, hey, I see the job that you need done. You need something picked up from here and delivered to Los Angeles. The delivery category is meant for like local jobs, picking up something like groceries or something and dropping them off. It's something relatively small. And she was basically asking to fill up the entire bed of my truck with all of this stuff from this convention. She had a booth at the convention center, so all her stuff from her booth she needed me to take to LA for her because it's paperwork problem, whatever. It missed its delivery. So I said, well, the category that you chose is going to be wrong. It's going to have to be under moving and hauling. And I was like, on top of that, we can't go past the boundary. So I'm in Las Vegas. I can't go from Las Vegas to LA under TaskRabbit. Where is the cut? I don't know what you mean. Where's the cut? So I talked to her on the phone, and then we agreed to a flat payment because I told her it's going to be hourly there plus back, plus gas there plus back. And then she's like, oh, well, it's probably actually going to be cheaper if we do this off platform. And I was like, if we do this off platform, I'm going to need the money up front. I'll even do half up front and then half when I get there. The other half when I get there. But I need to have some guarantee that I'm at least going to be compensated. And she's like, okay, cool. So I picked up the stuff. She sent over the money. I got gas. I headed out. Sorry. Stay. Just trying to feed the kitty. Cat. So sorry about that. It just starts driving me nuts when she just won't stop screaming. Next year, you might get into HVAC. Howdy, Mr. Never Pay Retail. Where is that coming from? Oh my god, dude. What is their cut? What the... Oh, no. All right, I don't know what their cut is. It's 15% more. So the way it works on TaskRabbit, if I'm slotted at $18 an hour, they add 15% of that on top. That's what they charge the client. And then when the item is invoiced, another 15 on top of that. So basically, anything that my take home is, add 30% of that, and that's TaskRabbit's cut. Hopefully that answers your question. Yeah, I probably could get back into HVAC, but I kind of do not have time for that now. And I wouldn't even be able to realistically get back into HVAC until probably May, because we just started the slow season. So, I mean, technically there's never a slow season, but it's a slow season for hiring. Technically 0. I have 6 months at one location, 1 month at another, and that's in between. In between those two was about a year and a half, 2 years, and then it's been, I guess, a year and a half since the last one, or just over a year, about a year and a half. It's October, yeah, I guess 18 months between the last one. Can someone please do me a favor, because I'm editing this on Kickstarter and they do not have a spell check. So I'm trying to write the word obstacle, but it keeps coming up as red, but it will not correct it for me. I know, I'm a writer that can't fucking spell. Isn't that wonderful? Obstacle. All right. Oh my god. It even... I don't know. It keeps putting it in wrong, even when I do the voice correct. I don't know. Maybe it's just Kickstarter's fucking... their thing doesn't have any built-in spell check. Never mind. Thank you all. What is Roadie's cut? I have no idea what Roadie's cut is. I've never actually done any work on the platform. I've researched it quite a bit. I've looked at what other people have talked about it. I don't know what their cut is. I do know that their cut is large enough to where you're not really making a tremendous amount of money when things are said and done. I think it's like 30% or some shit like that. Oh my god, this is gonna drive me nuts. I just need quiet. That's it. I just need quiet. Yes. Oh, quit moving. She's driving me nuts. She will not stop crying. I just gave her food. I'm sorry. She's just driving me nuts. It's like she's just crying.
I see.
I hate that? Question mark? What does that mean? No, not every unit is on the roof. Yeah, they do install some on the roof. I mean, all commercial applications it's on the roof, but that's actually kind of universal. Most package units go on a roof. Alright, going up on 2-story roofs. It's a giant misconception. Not yeah, you're gonna run into them. When I did residential units out here, I would say out of like the 15 I went to, only 2 of them were on the roof. Every other one was on the ground. So it's kind of a yeah, that's exactly what I wrote, but for some reason it's not correcting to that. I think it's because according to this on Kickstarter, it says there's 2 different ways to spell it. And because there's 2 different ways to spell it, it keeps popping up as an error. Yes, I worked for an HVAC company here in Vegas. Yes, I did. I am not at liberty to say. So the company itself wasn't too bad, but the people that worked there were fucking assholes, and I was not going to subject myself. No, I wanted to work at Gotel, whatever. When I was working at Calca back in Orange County, my boss told me that I should go work for them. So I will say this, it wasn't Godel. Godel was the one that I really wanted to work at. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say who it was. I didn't mind the boss. I just did not like my peers. They were fucking assholes. You know. And I get it. It's like, oh, Hayes the new guy and this, that, and the other. No, these guys that I worked with, they got personal. Like, they would say some really fucking hurtful shit. And look, being in the military, you learn to get thick skin. So for the most part, I think I have pretty thick skin. These guys were saying some fucking, like, hostile fucking harassment type shit. Look, man, I'm not going to give out more information than I already have, all right? So that's it. It's not, like I said, I didn't mind the company itself, but I thought the company was just fine. I just didn't like the fucking installers I was running with. They were assholes. And, I'm not going to be subjected to my... Okay, all right. I did talk back. There was a couple times where I was like, come on, man, what the hell? And then they would then reverse it like I was being the asshole. It's like, come on, man, it's just part of being in the industry, man. You just, you got to relax. They would make it seem like I'm the problem. Like I said, it got to the point where it's like, if that's what it's going to be like working here, I don't want to work around these people. So I left. And there's nothing wrong with that. There isn't. If you work somewhere and it's literally causing you like hell, and you bring up the fucking fact that, hey man, you guys are can you guys like chill out? Like, this is getting to be a bit extreme. It's one thing to like, give me a hard time because I'm the new guy. It's another to fucking go out of your way, call me a bad parent, this, that, and the other. Say, oh, you're never gonna do anything in life, and it's like, what? Why are you even bothering in this industry? What a waste of time for you to go to school, and all this stuff. Like, just getting super personal. It's like, oh, your girlfriend's probably gonna leave you and shit like that, and not even in like a joking manner. Like, they'd be dead ass serious. It's like, hey, I ain't trying to be mean, but just based upon what we've noticed about you so far, you're really not gonna cut it in life. So sooner or later, you'll probably just leave. I don't know what their fucking deal was. And I was like, dude, this is a bit much. Can you guys like fucking knock it off? And they're like, no, whoa, why are you getting all personal? We're just fucking around. Like, no, there's a difference. If I tell you to fucking leave it alone and you keep fucking going, there's limits. Everyone has limits, and there's certain things you just don't fucking joke about. You don't put someone's kids into a scenario, all right? Okay, let me rewind things a bit. Back to Robert. Yeah, so I'm streaming from my girlfriend's iPad mini because my son is on the iPad where I usually do my work. Over here, I'm making the corrections to the Kickstarter page. I'll touch on that in just a second because there's actually more to that. They weren't trying to get me to quit. They were actually, that's just how they fucking were. Because I talked to the boss and apparently everyone was like that. With every newcomer they got in, they felt it's like an old boys club kind of deal. Anyway, so yeah, there's dictionary and part like text to speech, all that shit, right? It's just Kickstarter. When you go on their webpage and you type in corrections on, I don't know how to describe it. Hold on. So it kind of looks like that, right? On the Kickstarter page, that does not have a proper spell check built into it. So I'm just trying to work with it. Just never mind it. Let's forget about it. Yeah, but as far as the guys that worked at that place, I had spoken to the boss, and it's like, not necessarily. The boss was like, I'm tired of having to hire new people because I'll hire someone, I'll assign them to these guys, and I've had to tell them multiple times, you guys gotta fucking just focus on the work, quit talking shit to people. And I wasn't the only one that quit because of it. It's happened multiple times. These guys would even brag about it. It's like, oh man, we had this guy, he worked here for a couple months, and then he just couldn't take it, and he quit one day. And when I asked the boss about it, it's like, hey, letting you know, I don't really appreciate some of the things that these guys are saying to me, and it's kind of making me a little uncomfortable, and it stresses me out coming into work every day. What should I do? I mean, and I explained to him, it's like, I know that let's haze the new guy. Perfectly fine with that. I get it. But there's a fine line between hazing and harassment. And he's like, okay, well, I get it. Yeah, we've had other people that have worked with them before. And the reason why we hired you so quickly is because we've been short-staffed. It's the busy season right now. And, we had someone quit and didn't even put it 2 weeks in. They just couldn't stand to be around these guys anymore. And I'm like, why don't you tell these guys to fucking knock it off? It's like, well, I do. And this is like the third time I've had someone who's been on the fence of staying or going because of the way that these guys talk. It's like, why not do something about that? Well, they're really good employees. I really don't want to get rid of them. And, it's not like they're hurting anybody. So, and it's like, whatever, man. Get a beer going. What do you mean, beer? I don't really lose sleep thinking about it anymore. I mean, looking back, it just irritates me, you know? I'm past the whole the questioning the whole thing around it. What pisses me off is that HVAC is a wonderful industry. It's lucrative, and it needs people. I mean, hell, it's one of it's, if there's a website where the government kind of lists in demand jobs, and you know a lot of STEM field jobs, and HVAC falls under one of them. Oh, Mr. Never Pay Retail, thank you for that. But unfortunately, I can't do an HVAC tool bag video because I do not have any HVAC tools. I, as far as tools, I do have like hand tools and drills and shit. But when you have time, no rush. Um, I don't have gauges. I don't have. Well, I have a multimeter, but not one for amp draws. But um, oh, I should have done that a long time ago when I did have a bunch of shit. But appreciate the super chat nonetheless, my friend. Thank you very much. Over the years. Use it for your shelter, bro. I appreciate that. Well, most no, I know that with the whole iPad thing. The thing is because I'm streaming on this iPad mini, I can't leave the app. I can't go to anything else because then it kills the stream. So I just have to keep it up. And then on my phone, I usually the Google keyboard. When you use the Google keyboard, it automatically has its own um, spell check and stuff built into it. That's when you use the virtual one. But if you have, like me, a Bluetooth one connected, then you're stuck to whatever's on the actual page. So since I'm not using like Google Docs or whatever or Word or anything like that, since I'm using this Kickstarter website, whatever spell check stuff that they have built into the website is what the keyboard is tied into. So like I said, I'm making things a lot more complicated by trying to explain it, but oh, there's Nightbot coming up out of nowhere. Jesus Christ. Hold on. Alright. Well, I'm not going to be able to change that until later then. Okay, so that's kind of good. I've made the corrections that I've had to make. Sorry, I'm like so zoned in on this. Boy, so much shit. This project. Fuck. Campaign. Campaign. Fucking stupid, man. Ugh. Why can't shit just be easy? It's 2019. What about y'all? What do y'all got for me? That's another long story that I've told like a million times. Long story short, I need my teeth worked on, but, you know, unfortunately, I do not have dental insurance because that shit is crazy expensive. And like I said, it's a long story. It kind of goes back to the military. I had a dentist fuck up my teeth right before I got out, and then they refused to fix it because I was getting out. And then when the VA slotted in my appointment with dental, because you have like a 90-day period or however long, they scheduled my appointment with a private practice that they would then cover for the fix. Well, they scheduled it like 2 weeks after that my time was up, that it would be covered. So, and I said, hey, I need a sooner time than this. And they're like, oh, we've already approved it. It's fine. I go in, and they're like, yeah, the VA is not going to cover this. Well, so you're going to have to do it out of pocket. And it was like, if you ever try to pay for dental out of pocket, holy hell, it's expensive. Crazy thing I found out, though, if you pay for it out of pocket, it's actually surprisingly cheaper than what they bill your insurance for. So yeah, you might go in and utilize your insurance for it, but they bill your insurance a shitload of money. It's so weird. I don't understand. It's probably why fucking premiums are so fucking high. This part of my hair, I can't. Right here. It doesn't ever want it. It just wants to grow out its own way. Poster. That's a good one. That video brought so many subs in. No, unfortunately, no. I still do not do HVAC. I'm actually right now editing my Kickstarter campaign for my book, Shelter. Hold on, let me get you guys a better look. Shelter. So that's the big thing I'm working on now. That was my buddy Ryan. I don't know why he got so much shit. No, Ryan was an excellent teacher. He was just kind of rumming along to the beat of his own drum, if you feel me. But Ryan was a great teacher. I learned so much from him, more than I ever have with anyone else. But unfortunately, no, I do not do HVAC anymore. I try to keep up with the industry because I do find it extremely fascinating. AK HVAC, that YouTube channel, that guy, I would recommend. If you're following me, you should go follow him. Yeah, years ago I did. And I appreciate y'all, man. It means a lot to have you guys on board like this. What else? What is the plot of Shelter? Well, since you asked, I will read it to you real quick. So this is coming straight from my Kickstarter campaign. Shelter is a post-apocalyptic survival story following the perspectives of three people, Scott, Andrew, and Danny. Rather than focus on the daily hardships of living through the end of the world, our heroes face the sociological and political difficulties of having survived a year since the collapse of society. The world has changed drastically, although people themselves rarely do. With the rule of law and order being a thing of the past, the hardest part of living at the end of the world is holding on to a sense of humanity and keeping your moral compass pointed north. The characters. Scott, a fish out of water residing in the gang-controlled south side of Chicago. Scott works with the gangs as a runner, someone who takes on smuggling jobs for the leader, Shaw. Taking the apocalypse as an opportunity to be his own man, Scott arrived in Chicago to take back something stolen from him long ago, just to be thrown in between a bitter feud of the gangs in the south and the cops in the north. Rather than be subjected to the tyrannical rule of law, Scott sees freedom in the anarchy of the South Side. When a large, risky job is presented to Scott, he is also promised what he desires most, a way out of the city for good. As with most things in life, nothing goes according to plan when Scott discovers the contents of what he had been hired to smuggle. Will he turn a blind eye, leading the city to ruin, or will he finally take a stand against the men who took him in? Born to extravagant wealth, power, and privilege, that's rough, dude. Born to extravagant wealth, power, and privilege, Andrew has known nothing in his life but luxury. Even with the end of days upon them, Andrew hides from the ruined world in the safety of his family's estate, protected by government agents. His mother, Senator Gervais, had arranged the family to survive hidden, protected, sheltered from the outside world, unknowing and uncaring for the suffering of others. Over the past year, Andrew's hunger for answers grew, but was continuously dismissed the truth from his parents. Following his radio conversation with a strange yet attractive-sounding woman, he takes the risk to leave the comforts and protection of home, hoping that he can prove himself a man by rescuing her from the struggles brought forth from the collapse. What he discovers will force him to leave his childhood behind as he adapts to the new, darker world. Oh, that's wrong. Danny. The CEO of the cryptocurrency investments and security company Platus, Danny kept a diary of her first-hand account leading up to the event known as the Reset. Through these pages, we see how poor government oversight, coupled with personal greed, led to a global economic crisis, with the value of money being reduced to nothing. Danny's diary shows the person that caused the reset, but through Scott and Andrew's journey, we realize the person responsible for it. So, long story short, that's basically the what Shelter is about. If you have any questions about that, I would love to go into it. Oh, wait, where was that? I know, I think so too. I do think so too. So if I had to kind of choose like a theme for each character, they all kind of, um, it all kind of has to do with like a sense of morality, like the divide that we face, like what is right and what is wrong. The divide, finding the gray in our lives between the black and white. Kind of seeing things for how they really are instead of choosing one side or another. That's what each of these characters is kind of presented with. So with Scott, he kind of turns a blind eye to all these bad things going on around him. I mean, hell, he realizes that these gang leaders are fucking horrible, bad people. But because he uses them for his own survival, he doesn't care what they do. And that's like his own moral quandary. Now Scott, he has his own code, which is no women, no cripples, no children. He doesn't go out of his way to harm people that couldn't otherwise defend themselves, right? That's kind of his own code. Anyone else, fair game. But there are some events that happen where he has to finally take a stand. He has to make a decision. Am I going to keep this up? Am I going to keep living in this gray, or am I finally going to take a stand against what I feel is wrong? And then you have Andrew, where his whole thing, it's kind of a coming of age tale. I mean, he's recently turned 17. He's not an adult yet. His parents still think of him as a child. He is very sheltered in the fact that he's kind of been hidden away from the world. He doesn't really know what's going on, and he wants to grow. He wants to learn. So it's like that thing, you force it on yourself. You can't wait for someone to allow changes in you to happen. So Andrew's perspective is kind of like a coming of age tale of him kind of hold on. I have no idea what that means. Uh, yes and no. So the book is finished being written, which is yay. But I still need to have it professionally edited and all that. No, did none of my changes get made? Fuck. God damn it. Oh my god. That's fucking that's wonderful. I love that. Yep. All those changes I just made, now they're all fucking gone. Great. God damn it, dude. I'm gonna fucking do all that shit all over again. Great. This is why I wish I had my iPad, because then I could actually make those changes without it being too much of an issue. But all right, we start all over. Yeah. So long story short, yes, it is finished. I needed to have it edited and prepped for distribution. Basically, I'm self-publishing it. The hardcover will be published through Ingram Spark. The soft cover and ebook are going to be done through KDP, the Kindle Direct Publishing platform. So in order to raise the funds to cover the costs of ISBN registration and paying for an editor and all that stuff, all those things, I'm sticking with. I'm going forward with Kickstarter, hopefully raising some money to be able to do that. long story short, either way, if I get the funds or if I don't, the book will be released. If I don't achieve my Kickstarter goal, then collapse of society sounds like, well, that's dystopian. It's post-apocalyptic. That's, yeah. There's a lot of really good stories that kind of follow that. Mad Max, what was, I believe it was like oil was the cause of that apocalypse. If I remember correctly. Yeah, so I'm just trying to make sure that the whole premise of the Kickstarter is so that I can make sure that when this is out there, it's as polished as it can possibly be. I've put a lot of work into this, 3 years, and I think the story is wonderful, but I'm not going to hide from the fact that I would need professional eyes to make sure it is as wonderful as I think it is. I could put it out and it just be just fine, but then I feel like I would be doing the service itself a disservice. And then also, if there are things that me as the author that I did not notice, and those things are published and put out there in the world, then they're gonna notice the errors more than the wonderful parts of it, more than anything else. That's just how people are. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I'm sorry, my brain is just, I just spent all that work editing this fucking thing, and I shouldn't have fucking left the page to Google that other thing, but like an idiot I did. And because I left the fucking tab, it kicked me out of Kickstarter and I had to re-sign back in, and none of my changes were made. Okay. Oh, it fucking stresses me out. It wouldn't be hard, but if I go grab my tablet, my kid's gonna freak out, and then my girlfriend's gonna freak out because he's freaking out, and it's like, it's fine. All right, let's get back to it, I guess. I can start this shit over. Make sure you guys can at least see me, right? Questions, comments, concerns, anything else? You know I'm an open book. Truly am. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, the reason why I want to self-publish is because I don't want to have to jump through hoops and all that shit. Like, trying to go through a traditional publisher. Three years ago, I wasn't stressed at all. This started off as a short story. I wasn't even anticipating for it to be this big. So the reason why Shelter means so much to me is because for the first year and a half, I was on and off with it. I didn't stay consistent with it. It was originally just supposed to be this short story about a guy surviving the apocalypse, surviving the end of the world. The cause of the end of the world was, there was some stuff I had come up with, and then I didn't have any crazy outlines. I just wrote. That was it. I just wrote. And I think it was about a year and a half ago, because I always work on one project or another, and I was working on another bigger project. Like, this is going to be the book that I write, and that was called Inner Child, which I really like, but I don't think it's very marketable. So me as an author might love that story, but I got to be realistic. It's probably not going to make any money. And I was like, man, this thing's stressing me out. Let me go back and write Shelter. I still have ideas on that. And I went through all the stuff I had written on Shelter, and I was blown away. I was like, I've written more on Shelter than all these other fucking stories. And then I said, well, I might as well just keep going. I kept writing on Shelter. And then I noticed, holy shit, I've written more on Shelter than anything else combined. I need to keep this going. So it started from this short story to being 347 pages long. Holy shit. So, and it's at that point, I was like, this is a full novel. Like, this isn't just some short story about some guy. it, you know what I'm saying? It blossomed into this thing to where it is now. So the original idea grew and grew and grew, and it was interconnected, and there was all these different points of complexity to it, but I was able to write it from their perspective, which kind of streamlined things, because you know, there might be a lot of stuff going on, but it's from a singular perspective. So some things are hinted at, some things are explored a little bit more, but we're mainly focused on these people's journey throughout the apocalypse, right? So yeah, I I got more stressed towards the end of it. I'm actually a lot more stressed on this now than I was 3 years ago. 3 years ago, this was just a cool sounding story. Now it's like, because it's like a real fucking thing now, and it's about to be out there in the world. The most nerve-wracking part is like kind of twofold. One is the Kickstarter. The Kickstarter stresses me out a lot because I'm essentially asking strangers to help support me in launching my first novel. Scary fucking shit, okay? Because it's all or nothing. If I don't make the exact dollar amount or more, I don't get a penny of it. So that sucks. And then the other element is getting it out there, giving it to my editor, having him break it down, which I do need the brutal honesty. Like, let's dissect the fuck out of this thing. And then I have to remind myself that as awesome as this story is, I'm still a first-time writer. So there's so much room to learn. But based upon what my editor told me already, he's really kind of fucking excited for it. But he can't start working on it until I have the funds. So that's kind of where we're at. I don't even know what changes I made. That's like the worst part now. So I have to kind of go back through and find everything. Like, fuck. I didn't think I changed much about that. No, I have to. I'm not going to skim past it. I have to read it. It's going to be quick. uh, Taking the box over use a man Scott arrive. I can't say. So I'll tell you originally what the story behind it was, but I can't tell you now what the story behind the title is. The title is kind of like an oh shit moment in the actual story. Originally, the reason why I chose the title Shelter, I was homeless when I first started writing this. So when I first started writing this, that was kind of like an idea that came into me. And I did know that I wanted to, one thing that I wanted was it would focus on this character, Scott, and he would meet an individual that had been sheltered away from the apocalypse, someone, Andrew, that he would run into Andrew, and that he would realize that this kid he knows nothing of the world. The idea was, because this was all around the 2016 election, before Trump was even elected president, I saw how divided America was. And I remember thinking, like, it doesn't matter who I want to vote for. It doesn't matter who everyone else wants to vote for. The fact that we're getting so divided as a nation over this shit, and it just, the division, it really hit me. So that a lot of that stuff translated into the story. So the original title of Shelter came from the fact that me being homeless, that's the one thing in the world that I wanted, was shelter. And someone like Scott was a man that came from nothing, where his life before the, apocalypse happened, before, the global economy failed and the world went to shit, that's what he always wanted, was a steady home for himself. He didn't want to struggle in the world. And with the apocalypse upon him, the world is now a giant theme park, basically. Whereas this character that he meets, Andrew, has been walled off, sheltered away from the storm of the apocalypse. And that's where that dichotomy comes from, this clash of worlds, where someone who came from nothing meets someone who had everything, more so than he could ever imagine having himself. So originally, that's where the title came from. Currently, there's actually a narrative element of why it's titled Shelter. um, I guess it's an oh shit moment. I kind of, I don't know how I think I didn't write it as an oh shit moment, but from a reader's perspective, when you figure out why it's titled Shelter, you're like, it works on so many levels, but from this one key fact, holy shit, that's mind blowing. So, yeah, that's basically where that's at. I don't want to. I love talking about it, but now because it's done, I'm kind of at the point where I'm trying to keep spoilers to a minimum because it's gonna fucking be out soon. I mean, hell, if this Kickstarter goes over good enough, then it'll be out in March. Anyone who donates to the Kickstarter will get a copy in February. Though it's gonna come out a month early for everyone that went on Kickstarter for it. So. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, the Kickstarter is not live yet. I'm editing it right now. I guess when I'm done editing, I can shoot out a community post with the link. So if you guys want to check it out, I'll definitely do that. So after the stream, watch YouTube and see one of my posts. I'll have a community post with the preview link. Brian, what's good, dog? Into the Wild, what's that about? Someone asked about Inner Child. So Inner Child was a story that I was working on. It's like a weird coming-of-age sci-fi story. It was one that I was writing. Basically, this guy goes back in time to when he was 5 years old, but he keeps all of his memories from his adult life. Like the entire life that he lived up until when he went back in time, he kept all of those memories. So from like the time he's 30 years old or 35, however old he is, all the way back to when he's 5 years old. So he has the mind of like this intelligent older person in the body of a child. And at first, that's what it's basically about. And he kind of thinks he's just dreaming, it's whatever. Then the next day he realizes, wait a minute, I'm not dreaming. Holy shit, this is real. And he starts to kind of piece things together. And he referred to this crazy event known as the Eraser. The Eraser was the event that sent him back in time with all the knowledge of the future that he had so that he could better his life and change his future, right? So what he does is he obviously uses that for personal gain. But there's only so much you can do in the body of a child. So he's like back in the 90s and he's growing up. And the story kind of goes over up until like his early to mid 20s. He finally realizes over the course of the story that he made these changes and he has more wealth. He's a lot happier because he has all these material possessions and he's made certain investments. He didn't like go back and play the lottery or anything, but there's certain industries that he kind of like nudged one direction or another. He had certain songs in his head, so he wrote certain lyrics. Like he did all these crazy things to earn money. So he was basically like a multimillionaire before even leaving high school. And the world was his oyster. And then once he left high school, because he graduated early because of how smart he was, because the mind of an adult in the body of a child, you still have the chemical processes of a child. So he was able to retain information a lot better because he's still in the body of a kid. So he was vastly intelligent. But then as he left high school and got in the real world, he started noticing, wait a minute, I had this girlfriend in high school. We got married and had a kid. I never dated her. So we never got married, which meant we never got divorced, but we never had that kid. So then he starts realizing that this child of his that he had doesn't exist. And then his dad had passed away, and he was hoping that by going back in time he could change that. He couldn't change it. His dad still passed away, and that was something that really crippled him. And then what ultimately kind of drove him insane was his mother died. In his original timeline, his mother never died. So he realized that his life may not have turned out the way that he wanted it, but it turned out the way that he needed it. So then he starts feeling really guilty for having made all these changes in his life. So, and then that's kind of where I didn't have like an ending written out or anything, but that was kind of the idea of Inner Child. Was you go back in time, you think you can fix all these mistakes that you've made, you think you can make your life better by making these key changes and getting money and this, that, and the other, and that you can change events from happening, but those events still happen, and because of your inaction in certain areas, there's like this crazy ripple effect. And he's never had the child that he had. He never his mom died when she shouldn't have died. She was still alive, but you know, it's shit like that happened that kind of realized like the grass isn't always greener, you know, especially with those memories, you know. I like it. The mom's a plot twist. How's it a plot twist? I mean, maybe from a reader's perspective, it's so weird when I write something. To me, it's like, it's just supposed to happen. That's why I'm glad to get this book finished and out to you guys, because I want to hear what your guys' take on it is. Like, yeah, I might write it and have my own way about conveying a certain emotion or certain information, but you guys are ultimately the ones where, hey, you're the reader. You know, based upon how you guys interpret my mind is what really kind of gets things going. About a man named Chris McCandless. Interesting. Wait, how do I remind you about that, though? Let's kind of go back and read this one real quick. And hey, remember, I'm still here. Ask me anything and everything. I'm an open book. Literally. I thought I made some changes here to a new darker world. I think, was that the only one? Okay. This is the part that I really need to fix. What I just talked about. Huh. Wiggles, what's good, dog? Do I live in a closet? No, I don't live in a closet. Ocarina of Time had some of the best tracks in all of gaming, dude. Wait, Somehow that turned into Harry Potter. Okay, let me. No, I don't live in a closet. I have a almost 3-year-old son. He's gonna be 3 next month. Holy shit. He there's not really anywhere else where I could work. So the walk-in closet is where I have the like desk set up and stuff. So it's not perfect, but it gets the job done. Oh, damn it, just fucking ugh. I know, right? It is, but I'm not gonna lie, it's really bizarre. It's like, haha, he's in the closet. I'm so funny. I get that a lot, especially on Twitch. Nah, but for real though, it is. I'm not gonna lie, it is fucking weird. It's so weird. I've been writing for decades. Technically, I'm old enough to say that because I've been writing creatively since I was 9. Have I played Breath of the Willed? Breath of the Wild? Oh, I want to so bad. No, I don't have any consoles. I don't have jack shit. Unfortunately. So, I had a laptop earlier this year that I got rid of. Very, very partially because I needed the money. I didn't really need to sell it to get the money. I could have just probably put in a few more hours at work, but the main thing was replacing it with the iPad. Not this garbage iPad mini I'm on right now. The one that my son's playing with right now. I needed to get rid of the headaches, so I'd be writing, but then it'd be too easy to go jump onto a game with some friends of mine. Take a breather and do a restart. It'll all work out in the end. Oh, I'm working on it right now, so I'm good with it. You guys are my breather. Like, that's why I like to stream, because I don't know a whole lot of people IRL out here in Vegas, so I don't really have friends I can go hang out with. Oh, knockoff link named Willie. No, it's all good. I can't spell, so you're fine. I'm telling you, if it wasn't for grammar and spell check, this book wouldn't be fucking written. I'm not a bad writer. I'm pretty good with crafting an interesting story and interesting characters. Now, I might be biased when I say that, but that's what I think. But I'll have to acknowledge the fact that I'm not the best speller in the world. Thank George W. Bush, I was part of No Child Left Behind, so they just kept pushing me forward. But yeah, unfortunately, I haven't. There's a huge laundry list of games I haven't played in the last few years because I don't have a console. I don't really have any of that. So if Shelter's successful, maybe I'll be able to buy myself a Switch. I think if I ever did buy a Switch, though, I probably wouldn't even play it. I'd probably get one for my son for Christmas or some shit. My oldest son. I have a 9-year-old as well. I really want this fucking book to be successful, man. I hope to God, man. Oh, Nightbot, welcome back. to keep rereading this just to make sure there's no errors. Ugh. Go away. Hit me with anything you guys got. Obstacles. All right. Do you guys want to see the preview? Yes, no, maybe so. Yes, no, maybe so. Yes, no, maybe so. Uh-oh. There's the preview for it. Maybe I should just actually... I'm still not done with it. I still have to make changes. So I just wanted to kind of... No, I'll do that when...
Oh, like that. Go on top of the fire bar. Oh, you dirty. Oh.
Alright, I think that's a good enough time to end it. Everyone seems to be leaving. But I'm going to finish editing this. And... I've just got a lot on my mind. So, thank you guys so much for dropping by. It means the world to me. Thank you guys for your uplifting comments and just hanging out. It helps me a lot. It does bring the stress down talking with someone. So, as always, I'm your so glorious and beloved Mace Valor. Sign off.